What's going on? What's going on? Welcome on in. Welcome to Reading Between the Wines. Yeah, I was letting that thing rock a little bit. I was letting it rock a little bit. That's what you call a good intro. Welcome on in. Welcome to Reading Between the Wines. It's Wind Down Wednesday. Let's get right on into it. Episode 22, The Cost of the Flex. This is Disc 5 Restoration. We getting ready to do this thing here. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining in. If you could please do me a favor and please like, comment, share, subscribe, tag a friend, invite them in, let them know what we're getting ready to do here on the 4-on-1 podcast, Reading Between the Wines. Before we go ahead and get started, I want to give a very special thank you to my executive producer. I want to thank God for giving me another opportunity to come out here and give you this Reading Between the Wines show. Thank you for giving me the strength, the courage, the energy. And I want to thank my special guest, author Birdman 313. He will be in very shortly. I want to thank all of you out there for rocking, listening, giving feedback. I appreciate the comments and just all of the love that's out there. And if you could please just share this video. They always say that sharing is caring. So share this video and you might help somebody else along the way. So last night's show, we're going to do a little recap of that. We helped out Tasha and Malik from Charlotte, North Carolina. Shout out to anybody who's from North Carolina. We had an event planner and we had a carpenter. Now, this time around, I would say that there's some hope for this couple. I walked away yesterday feeling as if there's some hope for this couple. Now, there were a couple scenarios where we had some couples that probably wasn't going to work out well. So last night, though, there was a little bit of hope there. I left with some hope in my heart that Tasha and Malik could get it together. Basically, they are slimming down their life, leaning more towards a minimalist lifestyle. But somebody, I don't know which one it is concerned with what other people are going to think. And they're bringing that information, they're bringing that baggage, they're bringing that drama back into their relationship. And it could potentially crumble and collapse everything. So basically, forces from the outside, bringing things from the outside in, which it should be in reverse. We should bring things from the inside out. Go ahead and watch that replay. If you want to find out my opinion, I'm not giving any advice. I want to make that very clear. I'm giving my opinion as far as what Tasha and Malik should do. Go ahead and watch that replay from last night. Let's get on into Song of the Day. Fake Love by Drake, released in 2017 off of his album More Life. So I have to ask this question here. Have you ever been so down that it looks like it's up to you? You've been so down, you've been so low that you can't get any lower. Realizing that you made some mistakes, some fake people, fake relationships, just fake love. It ended you in a situation where you felt that you couldn't get out of. You ended up getting into a situation that you felt that you couldn't get out of. Maybe you are here today, and unfortunately for some of us, maybe you're going to be on your way to experience something that I can only describe as hell on earth. Some people, some of us, we know what hell looks like and we know what hell feels like because we've been there before. Meanwhile, some people out there are crossing their T's, they're dotting their I's, and are making sure that they have everything lined up properly just so that they don't go to hell. But I can let you in on a little secret. Both heaven and hell, it's a state of mind. Hell becomes very prevalent when we allow other people to come in and distort our minds into thinking that we are less than what God has created us to be. So whether it's fake love, whether it's fake friends, the question that I have to ask each and every one of you out there tonight is, what state of mind are you operating from today? I'll take it back to Bobby Caldwell. We'll do a little remix version on here. So, what we won't do for love, the likes, the approval. You've tried everything, but in some cases, you still don't get that love. Song of the Day, Fake Love by Drake, released in 2017 off of his album More Life. Now comes to an exciting part of the show. I get to sample some wine. I want to give a very special thank you to my sister for sponsoring the wine for tonight's show. The only way that I could describe this wine is it's like a house wine, a typical house wine. You know, you go to the bar, you go to the club, you go to the restaurant, and they ask you, do you want the house wine or do you want the top shelf? So this is your typical house wine. We're sampling Gallo family Pinot Grigio. I don't know if you are familiar with the Gallo family brand, but pretty decent quality wine, and you'll be able to pick up a bottle. You should not spend no more than $10 for this bottle. Gallo family, since 1933, has stood by the belief that when you're good to the land will be good to you. 4 generations later, we embrace the responsibility of making quality wines for all families while nurturing our land. Our Pinot Grigio brings together refreshing crispness with bright notes of fresh green apple, white peach, and citrus. So this wine here is made from the Pinot Grigio grapes and it's from the California region. This one is a big one, 13% alcohol content. So depending on the show tonight, I think it's going to be a good situation. And I think Birdman is going to like this show tonight, the way it unfolds. So stick around. This wine here is a medium balanced wine. It leans more towards the drier side. And it's going to have a softer taste. Taste testers have experienced pear, green apple, citrus, lemon, lime, pineapple, and guava. This wine pairs well with pork, spicy foods, mushrooms, and cured meat. One of the reviews says mild to the nose of pineapple, pear, and cantaloupe, dryish palate with some not unpleasant residual sweetness. Whenever I hear residual, I think of Chris Brown's song Residual. To my mind, pretty generic and definitely not a template Pinot Grigio, but perfectly serviceable. Pairs well with fresh sardines. Now, I'm going to take your word for it. I don't think that, I don't know, maybe it would. Fresh sardines, I've never had them. Only sardines that I've had is from the can, and I'm sure that that's not what we're speaking about here tonight, but we'll see. So let's go ahead and I want to say cheers. Thank you to each and every one of you out there for joining in. And hopefully you have your wine and you're winding down with me tonight as we get ready to bring in author Birdman 313. I'm going to let you know how this wine is. You know, I could just start off by laughing. I just don't know what goes on the other end. But I always catch a little glimpse of you laughing when I bring you up. Wow, I must say, ladies and gentlemen, this wine is on point. I They say dry, but I beg to differ. This is a sweet wine, and it's 13%. That could be very dangerous, ladies and gentlemen. That could be very dangerous. Mm. I recommend it. I like it. So last week I didn't like the wine. This week I do. So let's go. Reading Between the Wines, episode 22, The Cost of Flex, this 5 restoration. We have Mr. Birdman 313. I want to say thank you, sir. How you doing
All right.
tonight?
How about yourself?
Listen, I'm doing excellent. I'm doing amazing because I'm here. I'm doing what I love. I will tell you that it's been a journey to get here, but now that I'm here, I'm up and I'm amped up, and it could be a situation tonight.
Yes, it could.
I'm gonna tell you why I had the feelings that I had earlier today is because here we are yet again, week 2, rainy, cold, miserable.
Well, hey, it's rainy, hot, and miserable here, so it's just the opposite. But it's
Nah, I don't know about miserable. It's rainy and hot, and I'm sure that if I was in those temperatures, I'd be
yeah,
feeling it.
yeah,
See, you could go out in the rain and you can get wet, and then you don't got to worry about being all soggy and all that stuff. Because by the time you turn around, you dry already.
exactly, exactly. Because when
Mhm.
the humidity hits, it hits, man. Trust me.
Hmm. I'll take your
Yeah,
word for it. Texas, here we come.
yeah.
Here we
But the
come.
rain don't do but make it hotter here. That's all.
Now, tonight we're. I'm not going to give away the scenario of the show, but I'm holding in my hands the book called The Keys by DJ Khaled. So he is a record producer. What a perfect fit. I want to say thank you so much to everyone who's joining. If you've recently joined, thank you so much. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know what's going on. So, how perfect was it for me to pick this book, The Keys by DJ Khaled, tonight? I'm going to say on some numbers from one. No, not one. Not one. We gonna say well, let's say 3. We gonna go from 3 all the way to 209. Before you do that, are you a fan of DJ Khaled?
No, not really. I mean, I don't have nothing against him, but no, not really.
Okay. All right. Give me a number.
I'm gonna give you number 8.
I like DJ Khaled. I like his music. Number 8. All right. Let's see what we got here. Stay away from they. Ooh, I like this one. Stay away from they. You hear me saying stay away from they all the time, but who are they? I'll tell you. They are the enemy. They want to keep the keys hidden and block you from the pathway of more success, and they want to see you fail. I've seen they out there, and I've seen their evil. It makes they happy when you don't prosper, and they laugh at your plans to make yourself better and get ahead. The person who wants to distract you from your studies or your career with their drama, that's a they. That's a big they. But here's a major key. As long as you stay away from they, you will prosper. People ask me how they become that way. I will tell them hate makes you they. Back in the day, I used to just call they haters, but I realized after a while that I had to change that word out of necessity. They are sneakier than that. They forms. For some of it will be immediately apparent, but there's hate in their hearts, but others have a disguise. What you feel about that?
Yes, yeah, I agree with that.
They stay away from they.
Yes.
I got to remind myself sometimes to stay away from they because we can get caught up because they definitely come in several different shapes, sizes, and forms. And it's the ones that are always sneaky and sly and being nice to you that could get you tripped up.
Most definitely.
Mm, mm. I like that. So that was from The Keys by DJ Khaled, his book. It's I'm gonna say it's I don't it's a memoir, put it that way. And he has some good information in here, as you can just tell by what I just read. And he speaks about people from the music industry and his journey, how he went from nothing to something. And I highly recommend this book. I like this book.
That's good. That's good. I may have to check it out.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe he might grow on you. Maybe some of his music might might grow.
That's possible. That's possible.
Can you name any DJ Khaled records?
No, I can't. I don't really listen to the radio no more. And I normally I have a playlist that has like over 6,000 songs on it. So,
Mhm.
I listen to that, and unless my sons have it and
I'm
I'm with them and I don't know who it is, that's the only time I can say that I might have heard any of his music.
I'm sure I'm almost certain you've heard it, and I know what you mean about when you are hanging out with your kids and a playlist is running and you hear all types of music and you don't know who it is. I got you. I can't name a lot of the artists that are out there today, but I
Yeah.
got you. I'll be like,
Yeah, I have to ask them sometime, who is that? And, they'll tell me. They don't. And I mean, like I said, I listen to like a lot of times, like when I'm up there, I'm normally there for 3 days, and then half the day they'll listen to what I got, which I got most of it from them,
mhm.
you know, and then I'll listen to what they got, which they got a lot of it from me also. So we kind of like we listen to the same type of music. They're young, they're in the 30s, but they listen to a lot of the music that I play, and I listen to a lot of the music that they play.
All right. So we don't do CD players no more.
Right.
'Cause I used to love that. I used to. My favorite question is, what's spinning in your CD right now? What's the last CD that you listened to? So if we could pretend that we have CD players, I'm going to my playlist right now to let y'all know what I was listening to. Um, what's the last album that you listened to or artist?
It would either be I'm gonna give you three because that's what it is. It's
Mm-hmm.
either be Rick James,
Hmm.
it'd be Prince, and the great one, Michael Jackson. Those are the three right there.
My favorite Michael Jackson joint. I want to say the video, and then we're gonna get into the show. Okay, so I'll put it out there. Tonight is about a record producer. We're gonna talk about a record producer, so it just makes sense that we fell into this trap of music. And of course, we read from DJ Khaled tonight, so we're getting ready to get into the issues of an independent record producer. So Michael Jackson, my favorite video of his is "Remember the Time."
Yes,
One of my favorites. One of my
yes,
favorites.
yes, yes.
Now, now, one of the ones that just like will get me to my core is that "Lady of My Life." That one, that music, that does something to me. "Lady in My Life."
Okay. Well, you know what? I listen to so much and so many, but 2,000 watts has been one of my favorites.
Oh, okay. So now when you on that album, I'm so mystical that you spoke about that album. One of my favorite joints off. I love all of them, first of all,
Right.
but when it first start off, the I forgot how it goes, but it's like you're beautiful, you're wonderful, amazing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I forgot what that is, but right in the beginning, and then whatever happens. There's a song called "Whatever Happens" on that album too.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. I like that. All right, so this is the top three. I'm gonna give you the top one, two, three, four, five. Bobby Caldwell, "What You Won't Do for Love." I listened to that.
Yes.
Fake
Yes. Yes.
Fake Love by Drake. Beautiful Ones by Mary J. Blige. Love Yours by J. Cole. Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe by Kendrick Lamar. Those were the last songs I listened to.
Hmm. See, I like Prince the book when he does the beautiful one. I like Prince version.
He has a beautiful one song. I'm gonna have to check
Yes.
that out now.
Yes.
See, I have to check that out. Let me see if I got it.
Yes. Yes.
Beautiful
I'm
ones.
hoping that's. I'm hoping that's. Yeah.
The beautiful ones. I'm gonna listen to that when we get out of here. All right,
Yes.
I got that. I got that. All right, let me get my notes back up. That's went on a little. We ain't done this in a minute. All right, so we gonna take it to Los Angeles, California tonight. Shout out to people in Cali, a wonderful place that I would love to be right about now. Um, Mr. Desmond, he is 29 years old. He's an independent music producer. Desmond is drowning in hidden debt while publicly living a flashy lifestyle. His recent breakup revealed the cost of hiding the truth in the name of keeping up in the name of his appearance. I'll read that again. Desmond is drowning in hidden debt while publicly living a flashy lifestyle. His recent breakup revealed the cost of hiding the truth in the name of keeping up in the name of his appearance. So, how do you feel about Mr. Desmond and what he has going on?
He's just one in a million because he, I can say that's why most people are in debt because the fact is they try to live that lavish lifestyle because they see somebody else living it, but they don't understand that that person that's probably living it, they're also in debt.
Mm,
Or like, like with the fake jewelry and the clothing and all that, a lot of people think it's real, but it's not real. It's fake. And
mm,
when I first seen that, I'm like, wow, man, because I know my parents at a young age, my dad sit down with me and he said, I want you to listen to this song by the Temptations. Don't keep up with the Joneses. And I listened to that and he said, no, no, no. You're going to listen to this a couple more times. And he would always put that in my mind, that don't try to live like the person next door is living because you're going to find yourself buried in debt. And you trying to impress your friends. Those are not your friends that you're impressing. They sitting back laughing when they find out you in debt and what's going on. So that's when I first read that, I was like, wow, man, this is something that I've always tried to keep in mind to not live that lavish lifestyle or a lifestyle that I know I can't afford to keep up with because you will get in debt.
mm. Wow, you definitely came out swinging tonight. I see. First of all, you shout out to Aaliyah. Rest in peace. You said Desmond is one in a million. I picked that up. um, Flashy lifestyle. I agree with you. That is one of the biggest traps. One of the biggest traps is comparison, comparing ourselves, thinking that, we need to be just like the next one. And a lot of times it happens, of course, it's your next door neighbors. But a lot of times it's people at work. I know I found myself buying things and doing things because of, the group that you hang out at work. People would start to look at the car you drive, the clothes you wear, stuff like that. And think about it. How much time do we spend at home versus at work? Some of us, we spend more time at work than we do at home. So these habits that we pick up and these things that we pick up, a lot of it has to do with the attachments that we create in a workplace. And he's a record producer. That's his job. That's what he does. And think about it. What do you see every time you can go on Instagram right now and you see what the rappers are doing, you see what the artists are doing right now. So you see what they look like. You said the fake jewelry and the clothing, and a lot of people think that it's real.
Yes. A lot of times, a lot of the ones that, and like I said, reason why I learned a lot of this from my parents too. A lot of them they go to Goodwill and get the clothes. See, my mom worked in the cleaners, so any clothing that came through there, she pressed it and she made it look like it was brand new and top of the line. And the clothes I wore, people used to say, "Oh, you rich, you got money," and no, it's just that my mom worked at a cleaners, and I could get my clothes. I used to wear slacks. I didn't wear jeans until I got in college. Believe it or not, man, it was always dress slacks. And the crease, and one of the guys one told me, he said, "Man, your crease can cut butter. It's so sharp." And my mom that's the way she, sent my sister the way, same way. We got, a lot of people teased us. A lot of people didn't like us because we dressed well. But the
Mhm.
clothes weren't expensive. My dad used to take us to a department store in South Bend, Indiana, because the clothes over there wasn't expensive as in Michigan. My mom and they used to buy us clothes. My mom said, "Before you even wear this, I'm taking it to the cleaners." And I wear it to school, and people, man, how much you pay for them? They was just regular, maybe back then like $3 or $4 slacks or $5 slacks.
Wow. You know that when you pass somebody on the street and they're just like a normal regular person, a lot of times you're passing by a millionaire and you don't even know it.
Exactly, I learned that being a counselor.
And I thought this was interesting too. The person that usually holds the door for you and say, "You go first,"
Yeah,
they're typically a millionaire. The person that lets you get in front of them and they might just look like a regular everyday person and are not like rushing, they're not getting all crazy about certain things. They most likely are a millionaire, and they don't typically spend a lot of money on some of their clothing and things like so. The scenario that you're painting and what you're saying, I a millionaire probably would do the same thing.
exactly. It's just like the jury. You know, now a lot of the so-called what you call stars or those, a lot of time that jury is loaned to them. You see them wearing it one time at an event, and then they got to turn it back in. And a lot of these knuckleheads out here, and I call them knuckleheads, they think, "Oh man, I got to get me a necklace like that, or I got to get me a ring like that," not knowing that it's loan jury. Or somebody went to the pawn shop. You can go to pawn shop and you can see all this expensive jewelry. That's because the person who put it there was going broke and they needed money. It's a football player. He won 3 Super Bowls with the Washington Redskins back in the day. It's a pawn shop over in Third Ward, and I know if my son is listening, he know who I'm talking about. He know where I'm talking about at. You could go over there and you can find each one of his Super Bowl rings in the case because he needed money. He
Wow,
didn't know how to spend his money.
that's sad.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
what an interesting part you brought up too, as far as loaning jewelry being loaned and stuff in pawn shops. So now the celebrities, you wonder why they don't wear the same clothes over and over and over again. Of course, yes, I don't want to be worn, I don't want to be seen wearing the same thing, twice. Can't be caught in the same outfit, can't be caught in the same suit, can't be caught in the same dress. When in reality, the reason that they really can't be caught in that is because it's not theirs to begin with.
Exactly. And there are stores. You go to a resale store and you might find that very dress, slacks, or whatever in there for sale.
Hmm, interesting.
And like you said, this gentleman here, he's in debt because he's trying to impress his friends. He may take him out to dinner, or he want to buy drink. He wants to be the life of the party. And knowing his buddies, they sit back and say, "Hey, long he's there, he gonna spend money. So why should I even pull my wallet or credit card out? Let him do it because he's gonna take care of it, regardless if he has it or not."
Hmm.
And then that makes a relationship really stressful because you're spending more than what you're bringing in.
You know what bothers me a lot when I talk to people. I talk to people who I feel are delusional, and when it comes to this music industry and stuff, because I have a passion for that.
Yes.
But it really bothers me when I talk to somebody and they swear that these artists make a lot of money. Oh, this person makes a lot of money. This person does that. Oh, I'm sure that they got. When I heard that TLC,
Uh
and this
huh.
this is back in the day when they had the Crazy Sexy Cool album. When I heard that they made, and I could be wrong. Anybody, if I misquoted, let me know. But I think that my ears picked up that when they divided the money, and this is why they blacked out and went to the record label and started tearing stuff up, is because they only made $30,000 each.
Yes.
Now, if TLC, as much as they've been on tour all over the world with that album, because that album was definitely fire. Red Light Special was number one so much for like almost 2 years in a row that I don't even want to hear it today. And that Waterfalls was on that too, so you know what that one did. That one was another one.
Yes.
For them to only make $30,000 a year, and that's TLC. How many other people who aren't really TLC? What do you think that they got gypped and what they're making? And they
Well,
think,
go
go ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
Now you
I'm
go ahead.
sorry. Go ahead.
Now, and the people when they think that they make it when they're big and they're in the music industry and they're it and they're on tour, that they're really making all of this money.
You hit a good point. Remember, we kind of talked about that last week, where the record label or somebody sign you, they'll sign you and they'll give you a certain amount of money. That money you have to pay back.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to get your music in, and a lot of them will go, that's when they'll go out here and move into a big old fancy house, nice car, clothes, all this, but then they cannot pay to be in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
There's a artist, Maxwell, taken for instance.
Yeah.
And when I remember, I can't remember the album he had, but he has such a hard time getting it out. And I was talking with a guy who worked at the record shop who dealt with a lot of musicians, and he said he having money problems. And I'm
Mm.
like, money problem? They said yes. They said the money that he was given to do all his stuff with, he spent it
Mm.
foolishly,
Mm.
and that's why his music can't get out. So they said he's still trying to rake off his residuals, which was really nothing. And he's talking about going on tour so he can make up the money, so he can finish the album, and then pay the record label back.
Mm.
A lot of people don't know that that's how it works. The record label would give you a loan, and then you need to take that loan money. You need to get in the studio first, do what you gotta do, and then what's ever left over, you know. That's why so many people have started getting their own studios, so they don't have to pay studio time.
Mm. That makes sense.
And Prince, for instance, when he signed that long-term contract with Warner Brothers, everybody was like, oh, 10 years, oh, he gonna make it. But Warner Brothers told him, no, 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 no. The music you made in the past, you cannot use that. We want fresh new music. We want you out here. And Prince was like, why should I fly out there, get a hotel or whatever he's staying in, pay studio time, pay for food, when I have a studio right here in my backyard? And that was one of the things that they argued about. And
Yeah.
that's why so many Master P, Hey, he used to sell his music out the trunk of his vehicle because he went to U of H, and when he started putting music out. And if you see the studio in New Orleans, you wouldn't even believe it was a studio. He took an old house and they turned it into a studio. They just worked on it, like in Hustle and Flow, how they did that when they
Mm,
kind of made turned that room into. That's what Master P number did. That's what a whole lot of the artists from New Orleans did it that way.
mm.
And
Yeah.
if you see Cash Money Studio, well, I can't say 'cause I haven't been down there in a while, but if you see Cash Money Studio, you wouldn't even know it's Cat. You wouldn't be saying that ain't no studio. But they
Mm.
take an old building and they just put their money up, fix it in there, and they do their music there instead of paying the record labels, studio, because it's not cheap in the studio.
Yeah, that'll eat up a whole bunch. What I know,
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. Wow.
And a lot of these young guys, they like, oh, I want to be like him. I want to be like him. But you don't know the debt that person in. Just that's why I said this record label, the one you talking about with this scenario of the night. See, he wanted to be like the top, record producers.
Right.
And so he want, like I said, he might have been, want to go to dinner. So he's taking a bunch of people out. Oh, I got the tab, or when they get in the drinks, oh, I got the tab. Then he going home, he got a headache, and it's not from the drinking. It's from he done overspent, and he got to figure out how can I make this up to
Yeah.
cover all this.
Yeah. I know, we laugh about that, but in reality it's not funny. But a lot of people do that.
Yeah,
They overspend and they are people pleasers. They do certain things out in public, and then when they get home they don't know what to do, and they're ready to lose it because they don't know how to conduct themselves and, you know, say no, I can't do it. Be
right.
honest. Be honest with yourself. I love how you said. First of all, you gave me two joints: Prince, the Beautiful Ones, which I'm going to listen to, and Temptations. Don't Keep Up with the Joneses. I had no idea that they had a record called that. Don't Keep Up
Yeah.
with the Joneses.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it's keeping up with the Joneses. That's the title. Keeping up with the Joneses.
Keeping Up with the Joneses. Okay.
Yes.
Maybe I heard it, maybe I didn't, but I'm gonna go back and definitely listen to that once we're done here. Um, but I love how you work that in because that's the biggest problem that we deal with.
Yes.
Keeping
And,
up with
and like I told you, my dad was a musician himself. So he gave me a lot of pointers, because like I said, he used to play the drums. And he could have signed with Junior Walker and the All Stars when they went to Motown. But my dad was like, "Oh no, I need money. I need steady money coming in." And then Junior used to come to the house and he taught me how to play the sax.
Oh,
And
Junior. Okay, Junior.
yeah, and so my dad and him they talked to me. They said, "If you decide to go this route, this is what you need to do. Don't get out there being flashy or nothing like that." Like I
Hmm.
said, I always had, as far as that, I always had that, with my parents. They was always, my dad was always in my ear about that. And I know one time he said, "See, you out here trying to flash and do this." I said, I said, "Dad, how am I flashing? I'm riding around in a 15-year-old vehicle." Hey man, and I know people laugh when I say this. I say, "Hey man, the driver's side had a big old hole in the middle of the seat. I put a pillow in it and put seat covers over it so people wouldn't see it. But it got me around."
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that because people who have money,
Yeah,
they don't spend money on brand new cars. They will get a pre-owned vehicle. They let somebody else spend money on it because the minute that you drive it off the lot, I don't know what the percentage is, but you know that it loses value as soon as that back tire hits that road.
yes. And you know, it's so funny is because I told you, well, I used to do HIV counseling. So, I a lot of street walkers, female street walkers. And I remember one when they told me she said, "Oh, I don't mess with somebody riding in a Mercedes Benz." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, really?" And she said, "No, because he don't have no money." She said,
Mm,
she said, "I catch those that ride in regular cars and they're old." She said, "Because they gonna pay the money." And I was like,
wow.
"Wow," And I told her, I said, "I wasn't even aware of that."
We said wow at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was not even aware of that. And then I every time I counsel somebody about being having safe sex, and then I asked one time. I said, "Hey," I said, "So your customers, I ain't trying to pry in your business. I ain't no police officer. I don't have the room bugged." I said, "But your customers, are you kind of picky about them?" And they all of them would say yes. They said, well, anybody that's driving an expensive vehicle, I don't mess with. Said because he only have a few dollars.
Mm.
And I'm like, wow. I said that's interesting, because you would think that that's what they would do. They would deal with a person that's driving a nice car.
Nope. Because they apparently
Yeah.
wow. Now think about it. That's not something that we should be proud of. That job, but even that
Yes.
individual knows the difference. Now they who don't have their lives together doing some of the most. That's what it is basically. But they can figure it out. But you have everyday people that get up and go to work and hustle, and they can't even figure it out.
Exactly. Exactly. And I've seen so many people that I know. I knew a guy, he worked for Nabisco, and every 2 years he used to switch cars. And my dad used to sit back and he said, "You know what?" He said he gonna be broke in a few if he ain't already broke. Dad said he up here switching cars like that. My dad did that because he worked at Oldsmobile, and
Mm,
Oldsmobile allow their workers to switch cars every 2 years without them going bankrupt. And he said this guy he gonna learn, and he lost his wife behind it. He did. He lost his wife behind because he was switching vehicles so much. And then
mm,
his sister said, "You act like a drug dealer." Just like that. And "What you mean?" And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at her, and she said, "You switching cars. What you think the police thinking?"
mm. Wow, that's interesting. Now, I want to touch the base when you spoke about the Oldsmobile employee who switches their cars frequently, and what you said, they allowed them to do it without
Yeah.
going into debt. You want to know why? Because it's free advertisement. Now, you driving around in a nice car and you work for a car dealership, a car company, you're advertising for them. So, of course, it's going to be cheaper. Of course, it's going to look flashy. Of course, it's going to look classy. But that's because that individual works there and they get that discount. Now,
Yes. Yeah.
everyday people, when you look and you see your next door neighbor switching cars like that and doing stuff like that, you feel a certain way because you were coveting what somebody else has, which you shouldn't be doing in the first place. And now you put yourself into a situation because you want to go ahead and look like them and be like them. They don't have the bills, they don't have the drama, they don't have the issues. They can sleep well at night because their employer is helping them make it do what it do because it's free advertisement, but you on the other end looking from the outside in thinking that you know the game and then the game has been played on you.
Exactly. And see, like I said, that's my dad. Like I said, he taught me that, because he worked at Oldsmobile for 25 years. And I asked him one time. I said, "Dad, I want to be like you. I want to change. I want to change cars." He said, "Well, I tell you what, you want to be like me, you better get you a damn good job like that." And he said, "If you work at Oldsmobile, you don't have to worry about that." He said, "Because they allow you to change your vehicles every 2 years." if you want. It's not a mandatory thing. If you want to, you can do it. If you don't want to, because sometimes he will keep the vehicle for 3 4 years, and then he'll go in and trade it in.
Hmm. Wow. I know I had a neighbor. They live like maybe 4 years, I'm sorry, y'all. It's this good Pinot Grigio here.
I already know.
They live 4 doors down, and they always change their cars every so often. Now, what I watched is the neighbors who watched them, and the ones that thought that they were all that. They decided to change their cars too, and they kept changing their cars left and right. Meanwhile, the person who lived 4 doors down, they did work for Oldsmobile, so I know exactly what you mean because I used to look and see every time they got a new car every couple years. But the person who was a couple doors down, they were leasing their cars.
Yes,
And then that became a game, thinking that oh, okay, so they changed their car, now I got to change mine. They're getting theirs basically for free, and you're the one who was a fool because you sitting there leasing the car, and that ain't even yours to begin with.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, but I will tell you that cars and me, it struck a chord growing up because we didn't necessarily have the flashy cars, and I watched the neighbors, switch cars and stuff like that. So I fell into the trap of wanting to drive nice cars when I got older, and that typically happens. I know a family member who didn't have nice sneakers growing up, so as a result, this individual has every sneaker in the name. And people out there, if you're listening, whatever you experience from childhood, it will show up in your adulthood. Whatever deprivation you faced as a child, you have to be careful because you will try to compensate and outdo it in your adulthood. And if you're not careful, it could do you in.
That's true. Like my dad, I think. Well, he finally, after he retired, then he said, "Well, I'm gonna go ahead and move up to a Cadillac," and he bought a Cadillac. He kept it for longer than what he normally did, but he was retired. When he traded it in, it was almost like new because he rarely drove it.
Mm,
And I remember the last Cadillac he got, I was surprised too. I'm like, "Oh, you trade?" He said, "Yeah, this is the last one." He said, "I don't need another one." He said, "Cause," he said, "by the time I pay this one here off, he said I may not be around."
mm,
And I'm like, "What?" He said, "Oh well, he said, in other words, I'm keeping it." He said, "I'm not getting another vehicle at all."
right.
And he used to tell me, he said, "Look here, man." He said, "You see the dude right there? He riding around that ain't his. That won't ever be his." Like I
Mm,
said, I did have some good upbringing on that end, and I'm gonna tell you, man, when my mom retired from the cleaners, oh man, that hurt me so bad because, like I said, the cleaners sell clothes too. A lot of people don't know that.
I, I know we're going to go off on a tangent, but I wonder what happened when people don't pick up their stuff.
That gets sold.
Okay,
That
because
gets
I.
that gets sold. Like that's what I'm saying. My mom, she would see something and it would sit there and they'll put it back on the rack.
Mm-hmm.
They'll try to contact the person, and after a certain period of time, she was like, "Oh yeah, this look good on my son." She'll bring it home. Cause my dad, he didn't want it. He don't bring me nothing. My mom used to bring my mom used to bring me. Oh man, I had all kind of shit. Like I said, I had so much clothing because we really didn't have to buy any clothes. And then my dad had an account at this one clothing store. And before, like once I got in college, he said, "I'll go down there and pick you out some clothes." Well, I worked for the store for one summer. And the guy, he said, "Hey," he said, "get you 5 pairs of pants and 5 shirts and 5 pairs of shoes." He said, "That's for working with me and you going to college." And don't think I did. When I went to college, they They was calling me Iceberg Slim because I had green pants with green shoes and a green shirt. I
Wow.
had I had red pants with red shoes. I had white pants with white shoes. I had blue shoes. I had black shoes.
Mm.
I could switch up. And then one guy, he was like, "Dude, you a pimp? What?" I'm like, "No, man." I said, "No," you know. But that's just the way it was.
And so now that you grew up with clothes and you had all of the flashy stuff, that probably doesn't even matter to you today.
No, 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 no. You know,
You
hey,
see?
you'll catch me in jogging pants more than anything. My son, my youngest one, he said, I know what time he said, "Dad," he said, "you at these poetry readings?" He said, "You wearing jogging pants and a t-shirt." I'm like, "Dude, look here, man." I said, "Poets don't." I said, "Some do." I said, "But that's not me no more, man." I said,
Hmm.
"Hey, I'm comfortable with me some shorts on or some jogging pants and t-shirt, man, and a baseball cap. I'm cool with that."
And I would say the people who didn't, like I said earlier, if you experience any type of lack as a child, you're gonna want to. Oh, okay, I'm gonna do things big. I get it. I've been there before, and I have to, get with myself sometimes and say, okay, so what are we dealing with here? Are we dealing
Yeah.
with some past trauma that we trying to just cover up? Cars, clothes, all of that stuff. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I got clothes right now that, believe it or not, man, I bought these clothes back in the 90s. I mean, like 95, 96, that fit me. I still got shirts that I wear, dude. I mean, hey, I don't, like, only time I buy something new is when I go out in LA. And then it's a sporting goods store that I go to, and I'll look for me, t-shirts, or like Skechers. They got a Sketcher on Manhattan Beach. I go there and I buy the t-shirts because I like them because they're soft, they dry fits.
Hmm.
Um, or I look for me jogging pants. Other than that, I'm not into buying all that flashy stuff because, man, nowadays that flash will get you robbed quickly.
All right, so now you got to worry about, first of all, you're gonna get robbed
Yeah.
two
Plus
ways.
being broke.
Right. I feel you. Wow. I
And
go
I
ahead.
was choosy about the females I met. A lot of them would just come up to me. They see me dressed up, they'll come up talking, and I'm like, and I let them know, hey, you know what, I'm not interested. And a lot of them were like, look at me. I'm like, nah, I see you trying to get on for a free ride. You must think I have something. And no.
Wow. I want to say that before I started this show tonight, and any shows that I do, yeah, we got guidelines. We want things to go a certain way. One could hope, but something magical happened tonight. Something mystical happened tonight because you and I, we did not rehearse this. We didn't
Right.
go over this. We didn't say, oh, this is what we're going to be going over and all that other stuff. But the title, The Cost of the Flex. And this is
Yeah.
what we're speaking about, people out there flexing, thinking that they got it like that. And in reality, they don't. I don't know how this all came together the way it did, but it's just coming together just like it's you know what I'm saying? It's it.
Yes. Yes. But I mean, and then it's the it's the younger generation that's doing it more than the older generation because the older people, they understand. The younger people are the one that feel like they have to get out here and splurge
I,
and show off, and then when everything start crumbling down, they sitting back whining and crying about where did it go wrong.
I'm gonna tell you this. I used to be a hothead back in the day, and I used to give people advice, whether it was my significant other, whether it was someone on a job. I used to give them good advice. but my message was clear, but my delivery was horrible because the way I gave it to you was not right. Now, the message that I was giving you was on point, but the way I delivered it was off the chain. Now, I learned from the best. So I learned from my mother, I learned from my father, and I will say that my mother, that quote probably, I'm not going to say probably, it worked very well for her, and I didn't even know because I discovered it in 2020. But if I had it as a child, my message was clear, but my delivery was horrible. It would make sense. But my mom used to give it to me, give it to my sister, give it to my brother whenever we would be spending money on clothes, and every time we had something new, she would have something to say. But I get it today. I get it today.
Yeah, yeah,
And you will see that history repeats itself because if you were hard headed, sometimes you'll experience your children's be hard headed, and only thing that you can do is just say, okay, I got you, I've been there and done that.
yeah. Or this is another thing I say. See, I've been your age, you ain't been mine, so I know what's going on.
I like that, when I've been your age but you ain't been mine.
Yes,
Well, I'm
yes,
gonna use that next time. I'm gonna use.
yeah. Hey, and I know, like I said, my son listening, he probably just laughing. He was like, "Wow, Dad just done gone off tonight."
That is funny.
Oh yeah,
Well, let's get on into this burning question here.
okay.
It's a great show tonight. Great show tonight. If you want to chime in for tonight's show, let us know how you feel about the vibe, the situation that we have going on here tonight. You can text me at 609 200 1098. That is the official 411 podcast Reading Between the Wines hotline. Again, that number is 609 200 1098. The burning question for tonight is, are you investing in your real life or just financing your fantasy life for followers and applause? I'll read that again. Are you investing in your real life or just financing your fantasy life for followers and applause?
Me personally, I'm investing into my real life. Like you probably done heard me say this before, because I do poetry. I write poetry books, and I shoot my own videos. I go out to the parks, I go to the beaches, shoot my own videos. So I don't pay anybody to shoot videos for me.
Mm-hmm.
As far as my books, the only thing I do pay for is book covering and formatting. My better half, she edits everything I write. There's nothing goes out in the world until she edits it. I do my own book covers, and I'm saying, my design for the book cover, I do my own.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people who've, kind of like asked me, well, like my son, the one that's listening, he did my logo.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like everything is in house for me. I do my own marketing. I go on social media. I go to book festivals. I go to open mics. I don't ask nobody to, do this because, my mom used to always say, if you ask people to do things for you, they gonna want something in return. And can't nobody do it as good as you.
Mm.
So that's why I say I had issues with this last publishing company. Mainly it was the guy, and I told him, I said, I do my own marketing, right? Oh, we can, man. You know what? I'm not gonna pay no money for somebody to do what I can do because I'm still gonna have to get out here and do it myself in order to make it work. I had my own business cards. I designed them,
Mm.
so I keep it. I like I said, I keep it in. I guess you could say in house.
I know that's right. I know a lot of people feel a certain way about Kanye West. But after he experienced the issues that he experienced, he started opening up and speaking about how he started doing a lot of things himself too. Because why would you pay somebody to do something when you can do it yourself?
Exactly.
So a lot of wisdom is behind that when you can handle your own business. Now, of course, as you get big, you can't do everything, and you might need to hire somebody to do something. But
Right.
when that point gets there, I'm sure you'll know. But I would beg to differ, and I would say you are investing in your real life because that is who you are and that's your business. So the fact that your books and the things that you have, you make money off of, you know, your royalties, that's an investment.
Yes.
So I would say that I feel that you are investing in your real life. When when I think about fantasy life, I think about things that are not going to sustain. Like when you are no longer here, Birdman 313 poetry books will still be here. So that's real life. That's legacy. That's longevity. That's going to be here. Fantasy life is people who, let's just keep it real. They say they want to be an artist. They want to be a rapper, and I don't hate to say it this way, but if something happens to them today or tomorrow, that dream will be dead and nobody will know who they are.
Exactly. That's what I say too. Fantasy, it's you want to do something that's going to go on and on and on, and because as you get older, especially singers, rappers, whatever you want to call them, their voice change,
Hmm.
and as their voice change, their music change. As the
Hmm.
music change, people don't want to hear them then. They want to hear what you did years ago.
Hmm. Interesting. Yep, I know what you mean. Yeah. But however, and I know we're gonna go off topic again and we're gonna get out of here, but one artist that seems to just have my mind blown is Patti LaBelle. Now her voice hasn't changed. I mean, yes, it has, but I'm just amazed at it.
A lot of them have voice teachers. They
Mm,
invest in that's what they invest in. They have a voice teacher, and their voice teacher, I do know a voice teacher. I met her at an open mic, and that's something that they all do. That they keep the voice. Well, your voice gonna get deeper. Like Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was so worried about his voice changing as he was getting older, and that was a thing that haunted him, that his voice was going to change. And
mm,
he used to drink hot tea so much to try to keep his voice from changing.
mm,
And he hired a voice teacher also, but that was something that, and you don't hear that too much, but that was something that haunted him for a long time. And then when he realized his voice might change a little bit, and they had to actually, kind of like beat that in his head. Hey man, your voice will change a little bit because you're getting older. But he would always say he drank a lot of hot lemon tea was with the thing. And most voice teachers I talk to, when I ask them that, they say, yeah. They said what it does, it keeps the vocal cord, it soothes the vocal cord.
mm. I know what you mean. They put towels over their body when they're in the
Yeah,
recording studio, make sure that everything's warm.
yeah.
Yeah, it's you just opened up a Pandora's box, and we can go down this whole thing for hours. I'm passionate about music, and this is just like what we do here. So I'm going to digress and pull myself back because I could do this all night. I could do this all night.
Yeah, I can too. Yeah.
So I want to give you the floor now because I want to thank you for coming on, being a part of this mentorship series, which I've been working on this thing for a minute. I want to thank you for coming on. So, what I'd like you to do is let everyone know who you are, where they can get your books from, your latest release, anything that you'd like to let people know about you.
Okay, yes, I'm Birdman 313. I've been writing, man, my fourth grade since fourth grade. My fourth grade teacher told my parents to keep me writing. So that's something I've been doing for a long, long time. It's been periods of times when I stopped, but I'll get back into it. But you can go to amazon.com/author/Birdman313. You can go to goodreads.com/Birdman313. You can get my books there. If I'm at a poetry reading and you there, or at a book festival, I always have copies with me. If you want to buy them, just come up and talk to me. Sometimes I even give a person, if they say, "Hey, I heard you here," I give a person a discount. You know, and I try to keep it simple. I don't use a lot. I don't use big words. I'm quite sure everybody will enjoy it. You can also find me on youtube.com, author, poet, Birdman 31355. You can see my videos. You can see me at live readings out in California, up in Austin, San Antonio, Texas. Um, and you can also go to Spotify, coffeewineandwords.com, and you get on her page and you look for Birdman 313. I have 10 videos, poem videos on there. I'm on Instagram. I post poems on my Instagram is .com Birdman 313.
That is awesome. That is very awesome. You got something else?
No, okay, that's it. That's it.
Okay, okay. now, now the next thing, as you've gone to this through this mentorship series, again, I know we had our Q&A session, and one thing that speaks to me is Les Brown. He says that sometimes you cannot see the picture when you're in the frame. So, can you help me out? Can you help the people listening out? People who will pick up the replay, weeks from now, months from now, maybe even years from now. How would you describe what this mentorship series is?
I've enjoyed it. It helps me out because I've been doing a lot of speaking, and not I'm not nervous anymore.
Mhm.
And that was one of the things that, believe it or not, I would go on even on a Zoom reading, and I see the people who are there, and I was just get nervous. But I was always told that nervous was because you wanted to do good. And this mentorship so far has helped me to be, I think I speak a little bit clearer, a little bit more, I can explain myself a little bit better. And it has helped me out a lot. I thank you for allowing me to be one of the speakers on here. I know you probably got a whole lot more, and you could have gave them opportunity, but I try to take advantage of this. So I just want to say, hey, thank you. My son, he get a chance to listen to me a little bit more, and I'm that's all I can say is, man, I just took I took when oh, excuse me, I got tied up. The opportunity, and
Mhm.
I've learned, because I let a lot of opportunities pass me when I was young. I'm not letting opportunities pass me now that I've gotten, older. I try to take every opportunity and do the best I can. And whether people laugh at me or not, or they turn their nose up at me or not, I'm still going to do what I do. And I will always promote your station too, and tell people, Hey, this he, and I always say you're an upstanding guy, man.
I appreciate that. I thank you so much. And that's exactly what I wanted to get out of that. So the question is, we have a Birdman 313 show coming up soon?
I know I'm doing a Zoom. I think it's this Saturday night. I'm doing. I don't know. I haven't made up my mind if I'm gonna go to Austin on the 14th. A friend of mine's up there. He's having a birthday celebration. He have an open mic. It's possible that I'll go. It just depends on this weather, man. Because I'm not trying to get out in this heat and stay out there all day. No, I went to one. I went to a festival last month, and it was outside, man. And one of my friends, he had to end up going to the hospital. He was, dehydrated. And
Mm.
I went back to the hotel and I took a shower. I put on some cool clothing, man. I thought I had cool clothing on. And I went out and sat by the pool. And I don't know why. When I go to this pool, I'll take a video of the pool and then I'll just read some poems while I'm out there. And actually, I'm calling the series Poolside Poetry.
Ooh, I like that. Now I like that one.
And so, like, I'm hoping every time I go up there when the pool is open to at least experience, get out there and read my old stuff, not my new stuff. I read my old stuff. And I found that some of the poems I've been reading, I'm like, and I've had people say, why haven't you been reading that? And I'm like, hey, I don't, because I'm going to tell you, when I finish a book, I don't even want to look at the book really.
Mm. I heard about that happening because you wrote it. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So that I'm working on that. I'm also working on poetry in the park thing. Same thing. Shit out there. I'm in some of the videos, and a lot of it I'm just taking a video of a certain area and I'm reading poetry.
Hmm.
So I got them two projects that I'm working on.
I like that. I like that. I,
And I hope to what I want to do is I got this idea from a friend of mine's when I was up there at this festival. He bought flash drive, with like 2 gigabytes, and he put his stuff on there. And I thought about doing that in the past. Just get me a bunch of flash drives and do it, fill it up with poetry, live event poetry, and then I'm not gonna sell it. I'll give them to you. If a person say, "Hey, how can I get that?" You want to donate? I'm not turning that down, but I'm not gonna ask for no money either.
hmm hmm
And it's gonna be a video with a poem.
I like that.
And hey, I just want to say thank you, man. You've been a blessing to me, man. Believe it or not.
Same here. Like the vibe, of course,
Uh huh.
and of course, when we do the live version, you'll be back. I'm sure. I hope
Yeah.
you'll be
Oh yeah.
back.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
of course.
And I might have something. I'm not sure right now, but L.A. Poetry Society, they had. I was a feature with them, and they talked about doing that again. They said because they enjoyed the people that they had on there, and if they invite me to do that, um, I'll be doing that because they said they just got doing through doing a festival out there in L.A. I mean, I wish I was out there now, man, because they had a festival I would have loved to be to. It was every day,
Mm.
but you know, there's circumstances, man. It comes with a cost.
I know that's right. Listen.
And I'm not about to go and get myself in debt and then be trying to pay off these credit cards, man. And be paying on them every month. I like to be able to get a bank, get the statement and it says zero.
Exactly. Yep. You know the cost of the flex. Come on now.
Yeah, yeah. And see, my younger days, oh man, I'd have burnt up a credit card in a heartbeat, man, to do
I,
that. But
I
now, I'm like, nope. I just have to wait until it's more convenient.
exactly. One of my worst things that I've done is I spent $3,000 on a PA system to perform live shows.
Wow.
Racked it right on up with a credit card bill. Sure did. You couldn't tell me nothing back in the day. I knew I was gonna be an artist back in the day.
Oh, hey, I felt the same way. Cause I mean, after basketball, I ain't gonna say it failed. I got two tryouts. I got one with the Lakers and one with the Rockets. And then I played a couple years of I played like total of 7.5 years of semi-pro basketball. And I thought I was gonna be the monster back then, but I never forget what the NBA scout told me. He said, first of all, he said, your ball handling and your shooting skill, he said, it's excellent. He said, that will get you in. He said, but it's your body. You are too thin. He said, you will not last a whole NBA season.
Mm,
And that's what really hurt me because I couldn't gain weight during that time.
hmm.
Soon as I stopped playing basketball, oh man.
Yeah.
I gained the weight. So, but I had a good time. I did. I traveled a lot too. Went to different camps and tried out. And if I was successful, cool. If I wasn't, still had people laughing at me. And I just say, hey, go ahead and laugh. I'm having fun. I'm getting some out of this. I'm meeting people, and I don't care no more. And that's the attitude. It gave me that attitude where I don't care if a person laugh at me, talk about me. You can't hurt me no more.
Exactly. When you know who you are.
Yes,
Exactly. Well, I appreciate you for coming on. Thank you for rocking with me.
yes,
We've been working on this thing for several years now, so I appreciate that. Thank you for being a part of the mentorship series. Thank you for
yes,
your insights tonight. We had a great show. I love speaking about music. And like I said, this was going to be a magical situation. And of course, it was. I
yes.
didn't expect anything less. And, we'll be in touch, of course. So
Oh yeah,
thank you
oh
so
yeah.
much. And you have a good evening. And, Texas, not for 2025, but 2026, Texas, here we come.
And I just want to say thank you, my son, for coming on here because man, that makes me very proud that I have at least one of them. I know the other one is working and he cannot get off to listen, but he would probably listen to the tape version. But it's so proud to say I have a son that do listen. And I had told him earlier, I said, hey man, hopefully you'll get something out of this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to the sons out there. Family, keep that family strong, of course. Family,
And of
family.
course, my better half is sitting right here. So, she listens to everything that I'm saying. So,
Yeah,
which is cool, man. I don't hide anything. I don't have nothing to hide.
yeah. That's good. I'm glad you got a great support system. That's very important.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will be in touch. Thank you so much for making this show what it is. Couldn't do it without you.
Yes. Same here.
Thank you so much. Have a good night. I will talk to you, and I'll see you when I see you.
Same to you, man.
All right. See you.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was author Birdman 313. I strongly encourage you to just explore a little bit. Him and I have come a long way. We have been on this journey for a couple years now, and he always supports, always comes through and connects, and friend of the family, friend of the show, and he will definitely be back next time around. So Shout out to Author Birdman 313. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. So now, if you like something that you heard tonight, if something sparks some sort of interest, just know that you can follow me on any social media platform. My handle name is @LarenGaines. I am on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, TikTok, DLive, Twitch, and Daily Motion. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, tag a friend. Let them know what we have going on. Hit those replays up. Everything will be posted after the show. I want to say we are on iHeartRadio as well. So the audio version is on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Deezer, Podcast, Audacity, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. If the 401 podcast Reading Between the Wines does not show up, text me, DM me, email me. Let me know what your platform is. Now, there is one platform out there, I'm not going to name it, but I've been going back and forth with them probably for the past, I want to say 6 months. I'm not going to name it, but they're very powerful. We've been trying to get our podcast on there, but they don't make it easy. And I think they do that on purpose, but we're just going to leave that as it is. But in any case, if you want the 4-1 podcast and Reading Between the Wines to show up where you listen to your favorite podcast and it's not there, reach out to me. We can try to make that happen. If you head over to LarenGaines.com, you can sign up for my free newsletter, Whispers of Wisdom. That is a free monthly newsletter delivered to your inbox once a month. Inspiration, motivation, helping you make up your mind whether you want to focus on it or not, on that debt-free living from the lenses of spiritual, mental, physical, financial. Head on over to LarenGaines.com, sign up for Whispers of Wisdom. Also, if you are very passionate, and I say very passionate about turning your life around when it comes to your finances and when it comes to debt-free living, remember, this journey is for specific individuals, not the individual that still wants to go out and rack up a credit card bill, not for the individual that still wants to enjoy the late night, the nightlife experience. Yes, it's okay to experience that once in a while, but not each and every night, not each and every weekend. If you are passionate about turning your life around, if you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, you're to the point where you want to cut up your credit cards. You're to the point where you don't want to do it anymore. Head on over to LarenGaines.com. Sign up for the free 15-minute consultation. Apply to see if you qualify. 15 minutes. You let me know how you feel, and I'll let you know if we're a good match to be able to help you. And the reason why I say be a good match to see if we're able to help you is because the only thing that I can do is give you the tools, give you the resources, give you the encouragement, and everything that you need to push forward in order to do it for yourself. This is not a situation where we're going to wave a magical wand and all of a sudden your finances are 100% and we're never going to have an issue. There's some work that needs to be involved spiritually. There's some work that definitely needs to be involved mentally when it comes to how we think and feel about money. Physically, how we show up in the world. And then what we're doing as far as long-term growth from a financial aspect. Head on over to LarenGaines.com. Sign up for that free 15-minute consultation. Again, not everybody is meant to live this debt-free life. It's only for specific individuals. We're calling specific individuals when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, when you hit rock bottom and you can't get any lower. Head on over to LarenGaines.com. On that note, tomorrow, Check me out here, same place, same time. Coaching sessions Thursday. We have a special guest, Miss SOS, coming in tomorrow as well. Thank you to Birdman313. Again, I'll see y'all tomorrow, same place, same time. Coaching sessions Thursdays, right here. 4-1 Podcast, Reading Between the Wines.